Hi, everyone, and welcome back to AI on the Side, a podcast where I explore AI's impact on business, culture, families, and the future of work. Today, I'm talking with Rebekah Shields about how we're navigating AI in both our work and our homes. Rebekah is one of my closest friends, and I'm so happy to have her here as my first guest. With me today is Rebekah Shields. Rebekah, if you could give us a little intro.
Yeah, so my name is Rebekah Shields. I work in revenue enablement for a software company. I spend a lot of time thinking about how people can be more productive and more innovative within their roles. And that is kind of what brought this conversation up with Shalira. I know she is someone who's really pursuing AI, and there's a lot of that within my role. So I thought it'd be a good idea for me to join the conversation.
Great. So, since we are in a bit of the same world here, parenting and AI and work and all of the things, I wanted to see how are you feeling right now and what are your sort of feelings and intentions for 2026?
I think we all are really trying to work faster and get ahead of AI. But the truth of reality is that there's so many products, there's so many changes that are happening very quickly that it's almost impossible to do. So although we're striving to become comfortable with AI and what's out there and what's available, I think that we are going to continuously see a lot of challenges coming with how do you get ahead in AI while being able to maintain existing implementations of AI within the organization? Because of that, it does feel like it's going to be a little faster and a little heavier, right? A little faster in what's expected from us, but a little heavier in us trying to handle the workload that's associated with maintaining the knowledge and maintaining the processes that in the implementation of all that.
We have a lot to balance with work right now. How are you managing that with your teams? How do you make people feel comfortable in such a time of tribulation? How do you balance that?
I think the nature of an enablement role means that you have to be adaptable and you have to be okay with innovation and change. Because of that, it's really common for us to kind of be building the boat while we're on the boat, that
Yeah.
whole idea of figuring it out as we go, but also implementing it and, just adapting when needed. It is a little chaotic, the whole idea of what is good, what processes should we have in play, all that stuff it's just changing so frequently that we're always kind of adapting. And I know that can be exhausting for sellers and CS teams to have to try to continuously learn something new. I'm hoping that in 2026, we can at least try to stabilize a lot of
Yeah.
what we've already implemented. We have an RKO, which is our version of the SKO, the company sales company kickoff coming up. The majority of our content is going to be around product innovation within our company because we do build AI as well as reinforcing and doing continuous enablement on existing products that we've already rolled out and existing processes around AI. A lot of it is just going to be around hey, what AI tools have we already implemented? What results are we seeing? What best practices are there to really reinforce, there's a reason behind AI. There's a reason that we think that we can see it help increase your productivity. And this is why, and this is how. So
Yeah.
that's
I feel like no matter what industry you're in, be it the sales enablement side, marketing, I mean, both of those work so closely, but it's going to get very real in just a couple of weeks,
yeah.
right?
And I
um,
honestly, I laugh because, everyone's kind of building out their SKOs right now. I have two
mhm.
neighbors who are in operations, operations kind of or enablement operations type roles. They do very similar. One's for CS and another one is for tech enablement. We are just chit chatting as we're walking around the neighborhood and we're all like, yeah, so what's on your agenda? We're all trying to figure out how to tackle this, how to make sure
Yeah,
that we make it sticky.
right.
Um, Especially as someone who's working for a company that builds AI, we really need to make sure that we are trying to continuously be a step ahead and that we are doing what makes sense, right?
Yeah.
We're implementing what makes sense and where it makes sense. Right time, right place.
Yes, exactly. I think I feel a lot of that on my side too. So, my side is consulting. I do marketing for an AI consulting company. So, I feel a lot of that. And a lot of our content is going to be surrounded around AI orchestration and trying to piece those together and really try to have people understand it's not a, set it and forget it sort of thing. There are a lot of pieces that go into building this and making it successful throughout the year, quarter over quarter, right? With everything we're talking about with upskilling over the year and just certifications and all the things we need, what's your outlook on that?
That is a great question. One of the things I think about when I am talking to my son about, hey, what are you going to go to college for? What do you think you might be doing when you get older? Is no matter when you are approaching the job market, there's always going to be that idea of, do you have experience in this field in order for you to get a job? AI to me is just like when the internet came, people were like, oh, I'm just going to stick to the old fashioned newspaper. That's cool. But you also have to be able to become comfortable with this area as well. This can kind
Yes,
of this
yes,
can
yes.
give them visibility into what's out there, what potential options there are, or additional education that can be beneficial to them.
And I am so glad that you mentioned that because I feel so strongly about it. I think we're going to see more and more organizations or programs roll out as AI becomes more mainstream. I think it's so important for people that may not have access or knowledge or like parents or families or people around them that are encouraging them to learn about this, get into it. I think the next generation is just so important to introduce this to them and have it nurtured. And, all of us don't need to be data engineers or data scientists. I think AI is going to integrate into everything that we're doing. So
Is
it's
it
so
not
important.
already? Like,
And
I'm
exactly. I don't know what the answer is and how we can spread this information, but I just like you really want to make sure that there is not a part of our population that is left behind when this
yeah.
happens. And it already kind of feels like, because this is moving so fast, it already kind of feels like it's starting. As a parent, how are you navigating talking to your kids about this?
So I have a middle schooler, and because of the age range for a middle schooler, I kind of focus on keeping it a little light, but practical, right? So me and my husband, we both use AI on a day-to-day basis, and we try to allow the kids to use it to some capacity as well. I am wary just because I don't know what type of restrictions or what kind of monitoring we can do with AI. So it is fairly limited access to it at the
Yeah.
moment. But for instance, if I'm helping my son with a math problem, and if he gets it wrong, instead of us saying like, hey, what is the right or wrong answer? We'll say, hey, this is how he solved the problem. What's another way of approaching it that could be easier for him to understand, to predict this in the future, right? And we'll use it in a way that's kind of getting a different perspective, but not as the sole way of using it. So I would never tell him to like use AI to solve the problem. Like help him come up with like an alternative viewpoint for it, right? How to
Yeah.
reframe something. We also use it for recipes, for instance. I
Mhm.
think that that's really practical. Like it helps them understand how to apply AI instead of it being like some far off idea. I think that people who are not familiar with AI, they may get overwhelmed or be like, it's too broad of a concept. How am I
Yeah.
supposed to do it? How do I even start? And I think by having it applied in smaller and more practical ways will help them understand how to utilize it. Mostly because AI is new right now. And like, I know for sure professors are probably looking into tools. I'm sure there's something of that sort already available
Yeah.
for professors to utilize. So it's going to be really important for my children not to rely on using AI to build out their core content,
Mhm.
but helping it maybe get different perspectives or helping it point them to different resources. So that way they're not setting themselves up for failure when it's time for them to turn in assignments in
Yeah.
college. I think that also helps promote critical thinking, which I think is going to be important with
Yeah.
AI in future careers, right? Because I think a lot of people are going to start leaning on AI a little too heavy and
Mhm.
they may not develop their critical thinking
Yeah.
skills and their verification skills. So really kind of helping build that skill with my children, I feel is important, as well as just natural curiosity, because I think a lot of AI really promotes curiosity and like, hey,
Yeah.
in what ways can we use this to help make our lives better, right?
Yeah.
So when I think about AI and my children in particular and what that might look like, what it might look like in the future, it's helping them understand how to utilize it in the proper way now. And then also getting them comfortable with it so that they aren't behind when, it's time for them to go to corporate America and it's already being implemented and utilized within their standard roles.
Right. I think that is huge. I think the knowledge piece of it and like biting off those chunk size pieces is really big. I mean, my kids are just a bit younger than yours. I have a 1.5-year-old and almost 5-year old. But with my 5-year-old, we're trying to work on, it's not, he isn't using, ChatGPT or anything like that. But our Google Nest is as far as he will go. And he will ask it questions. And we do use it for recipes and similar things. But I think right now, my biggest problem is YouTube, for example. He likes video games and he likes to watch, Super Mario Brothers, other people playing it to learn how to beat the game. So it's really hard to be able to help him distinguish between, what's real and what's not real. Even at this point, it's just a
Yeah.
fan-made video, not even a fully
Yeah.
AI made video, but just like a fan made this. Like, well, how is that Mario with, bluey together. He doesn't
Right.
understand it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really hard to navigate that because, he's so young. So I'm trying to figure out how to explain AI terminology and explain it in a light enough way that like a little kid will get it and understand, at least understand like, oh, AI, I've heard that before. So as they get older and as they're, the age of your kids, they're able to remember a brief introduction to it. And then hopefully when they get to your kids' age, they're able to use that knowledge and go further. But by the
Yeah.
time, the 8, 10 years, whatever that is, who knows what all of this is going to look like, which is a little scary.
I think that's where, like I said, where parents should be focusing on developing their kids' critical thinking and verification skills. It's going to get messy. I mean, by the time they're older, I'm sure we won't be able to visually see like, oh, is this AI or not? It's going to be more so like verifying, like, hey, I
Yeah.
just saw this video about this in the news. Let me go and look and see if it's
Fact check.
showing up on Google and other news outlets,
Yeah.
just helping them think critically as well as helping teach them how to verify, but also knowing that although there is an ethical component of AI, it's also very beneficial as well.
Yeah, 100%. The critical thinking, want to double click on that there, just because the critical thinking I think is important for our kids, but also still very much important across teams. Besides critical thinking, what are some of the other skills? When we want to pinpoint, is this image or video real or is it not real? And help people who, there are still people who are just copy pasting what they get from ChatGPT and just running with it. What do they need to look out for? And what are some of the things besides critical thinking that will help them not just be successful, but be able to use this every day, not just for work, but in their real life also?
I think putting a focus on adapting right now, there is a lot of people who use AI, and I think that they do like copy and paste. And you'll see it too, like on LinkedIn, where someone will be like, oh, this is clearly AI. Look at the
Yeah.
index, or they forgot to reread it before they posted it. So
Yeah.
that nature. I think accountability is going to be important. Adaptability is going to be important, as well as communication. And I mean, communication between people, communication between AI, because just like AI is only as good as information as that it has available, just like computers are only as smart as the user. When it comes to I think us being able to focus on good quality use cases of AI, as well as letting people know that our standards are increasing. Just copy and pasting isn't good enough. Not only could you be held liable for whatever you are pulling from ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever it may be, there's a component of, are you doing your part? Because everyone's afraid of AI taking over their jobs, right? But the idea of people not using that same energy to make sure that they're using AI in a responsible way is important. Just making sure that people understand, like, hey, it is a tool, but just like you don't want AI to take over your job, you don't want to sit there and use AI without thinking and without double checking, without verifying, without adapting it and making it your own.
Mm-hmm.
It's a change that we're just going to have to continuously monitor. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's really easy for people to be rushed and try to quickly do something just because the business needs are going to continue to grow. And
Yeah.
so people are trying to get things done quickly.
Yeah, I think that is a perfect note to end on, actually, with adaptability for teams, individuals, everyone really in the work landscape. It's the first time that this is happening, really, and we're all learning and going at the same time. Teams are afraid AI is going to take their jobs, but at the same time, organizations are afraid that they're going to be defunct. They're not going to exist
Yeah.
anymore because of AI, right? If you have any advice for 2026 for just outlook in general across teams and individuals, if they actually want to do the work to start building and growing and adapting, what's your advice? What should they do?
With, keep that curiosity, like go ahead and make sure that you're not just focusing on like one AI tool. Make sure that you're not only using it in one way. Like that ability to continue to see what's out there and get hands-on experience with it and think of different use cases is important. I think every company is going to be feeding their employees different tools.
Yeah.
I think companies are going to value those who are seeking out AI tools that can really help solve problems that they're facing.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for that to happen, you have to continue, you have to continue to be curious. You need to read
Yeah.
articles when something sparks your interest, go out and see what information is available about new resources that are available. The idea is just don't think of AI as something that you can kind of like overlook or opt out. Really try to engage and really try to get ahead by being open-minded to new tools.
100%. That I think rolls a bit into my outlook for 2026. And what I encourage other people to think about too is that it's not like a strict, you are going to use only AI or you are going to completely opt out, you're not doing anything. I think it's not or, it is and. We can
Right.
build these processes, we can do both. Like if you don't want to use AI every single day, you don't have to. But this is where the world is heading. There's no denying that. So if you want to stay abreast of, information, data, the news, anything, you kind of have to at least low level get in
Yeah,
there. Thank you for
absolutely.
joining. I am so excited we got to talk. And you are my first guest, so you should feel very special. I feel very special. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Honestly, AI is just one of those topics that I feel is going to continue to grow in importance and value. So, anytime you want me on, I am available. I love to talk about how it's utilized and what else I'm hearing around it, around this particular topic. So,
Yeah.
thanks for having me.
Perfect. All right. Well, we will talk to you next time. Thank you.